want to show you guys around a couple of things. So on our Brightspace page, you go the very bottom, final research paper details. That's where the prompt for this is. But I wanted to draw your attention to this folder, which is Scholarly Research Archive. Here, let's see. Here I've given you guys. There's lots of books that I normally teach in this class, but I didn't because of the condensed time frame. I have plenty of articles up here about Frankenstein. Got like 20 some articles up. Dracula. I've got 22 articles up about it. I have 4 articles up here that are about the Gothic genre as a whole. I would actually encourage you guys, whenever we get to the bibliography part, to maybe do 1 or 2 of these, because I think that these will do a good job of showing you the larger genre that either Dracula or Frankenstein are operating within. So this one, these 2 are really good ones. If you want to do sort of a gender and sexuality readings, this one's good. This one's about Gothic medicine, which is always an interesting topic. Some of you guys are planning to go into the medical profession, right? One of you guys might want to do sort of a medical reading with one of these things. So, and I also got, remember I told you guys too that I was originally going to do Haunting the Hill House this summer, but I cut it because of the fast time frame. I have a bunch of articles up about it here as well. So definitely, whenever you start doing this project very soon, I know in Hannah's case, she's doing it right now already. But yeah, all the stuff is here for your benefit. I gathered all this stuff together because at Southern we're getting ready to, like, it's in the cards for fall, but I don't think we yet have access to some of the best English databases. So that I gathered together all these articles for doing searches of my own WVU. So I've almost done almost all the hard work for you here in finding a ton of articles. Now, if you guys, like, here's my version of Dracula. This is the version of Dracula that I recommend that you guys get. The same thing for Frankenstein. Frankenstein's got these Norton editions. And if you look in the back of those, past where the actual novel is, there's tons of articles back here in the back of these books. There's a whole section called criticism. So I don't know if you guys have, that's the same edition. If you get page 455 in Dracula, for instance, Frankenstein's got the same thing. You could see all kinds of different articles that you guys could do for the research paper. And you could do stuff like the first one's from Jarlie Killian called Stoker, Dracula, and Critics. But the next article is called The Psychoanalysis of Ghost Stories. Dracula, the Unseen Face in the Mirror. Whenever we talk about mirrors, right, psychology is usually involved. You guys remember I told you about Jacques Lacan's mirror stage, right? When he says, like, when a baby looks into the mirror for the first time, that's when the baby becomes a human. That's when the baby understands that he or she is an individual. There's a article about that. you want to take if you want to look at Christian themes in Dracula, there's an article called Christianity, Darwin, and Dracula. Dracula and the anxiety of reverse colonization. We're going to talk about colonization some in our discussion today. Capital Dracula, technologies of monstrosity. Suddenly sexual women and Bram Stoker's Dracula. We're going to talk a lot about that today. With there's a lot of discussion of sexuality with Dracula. So yeah, that's why I told you guys it would be a good idea to get this version of the book, because it's got so much stuff in there that you can use for a bibliography on top of what I've already provided you. So there should be more. I'm not going to ask for much. I'm going to ask for like 5 sources or something. So all of you guys should be able to get enough based on what's in the back of the book and also what I provided you here on Brightspace. So hard work is, you don't have to go through the hard work of trying to find all this stuff yourself, because I've already done it for you for the most of it. Okay. So before I go over the prompt, then, you guys have any questions about where to find sources or anything like that? Hannah, how are you doing? I know you're currently working through it.
I haven't really started on it. I plan to start on it. I want to try to get the bibliography and the proposal done by Friday before I leave for vacation, because I don't want to be doing it on vacation, like I said, but I don't know, because I changed my topic.
Right.
So now I'm like conflicted. I don't know what to make my proposal at, you know what I mean? So, but I want to get it done. So I'm gonna, tonight I'm actually, because I've been reading Dracula, so tonight I'm gonna look and look for sources and stuff.
So you think that you might do Dracula now, or are you still thinking you might do Frankenstein?
No, Frankenstein. I've just been reading Dracula. I haven't had time.
Right. So yeah, one of the things that I told you guys before I go to the prompt, of course, but you can develop one of your short papers. So if you do your short paper on Frankenstein, it's due this week, or next week if you do a short paper on Dracula. Remember, you have a choice of which book you want to write about. But you can develop that short paper into a longer search paper. So whichever question you pick on the prompt, you can develop it and then do research on it and then build it. And you can take a 3-page paper and make it like a 7-page paper. So that's a possibility for you guys. And that's probably the easiest way to go about it, actually. And it'll save you some labor if you do it that way.
So instead of like a 3 to 4 page short paper, we would do a 7-page paper.
Yes, and you can actually include pretty much a lot of the stuff in the 3-page paper. Like I said, you develop it into a longer 7-page paper. So that's how it will work if you do it that way. And that'll make writing the proposal easy because you've already done the short paper. Right? So you can make, if you do it that way, maybe in the proposal you can explain how you plan to develop it. You've already got the basic idea down. Now you're just adding on. It's almost like building a house, right? You build the foundation. That's what you're doing with the short paper. Now you're adding on with the longer paper.
So does it have to be the same topic though? It can't be a different topic, right? It has to be the same one.
Now you can choose to write about something that's not on the short papers.
Okay.
You can do that. Probably just in the sake of brevity and time, you might be making it a little harder on yourself if you
Yeah.
do that. But you can write about something that's not on one of these prompts. Maybe you want to write, like I've kind of designed the course around mostly talking about Dracula or Frankenstein, just because of how fast it is. If you guys maybe want to write about Edgar Allan Poe, or you want to write about Sleepy Hollow or something like that, that's a possibility. Or maybe you guys want to write about something horror. It would have to be horror or gothic related.
I have a question.
Okay.
We're talking about the short paper, right? We can write about anything as long as it's horror literature.
Not with the short paper.
Okay.
Now with the major research paper, I would give you that freedom.
Yeah.
Okay. If you do at least run it by me first. That before you write your proposal. That way I can kind of shepherd you in a direction that I think might work. Okay.
Okay.
But I'm a big movie junkie. So if you guys want to write about horror film, for instance, I mean, I would be probably amenable to that. Now, as far as coming up with research on that stuff, I haven't done the research for you already, right? Like I have with Dracula and Frankenstein. So it might be a little hard. So again, with sake of time, you know, it would probably be easier to do one of the novels. I have some stuff here up on Poe, I think. Do I not? All I did. I don't think so. Really quickly, I will show you if you are finding it unsatisfactory to what I provided. I'll show you how to look for sources through Southern. You go to My Southern. Can you guys see my screen? You can see my screen that says My Southern Login.
No, I can't see it.
See it now?
Yes, thank you.
You go to My Southern Login, go down to where it says Library Resource Menu. Click that. Go to EBSCOhost Library Database Search. Click EBSCOhost Web. Like I said, soon we'll have more stuff. Right now we don't have a lot of stuff. So right now you just click, maybe search all the databases we have. We don't have many. Okay. You might choose to run a search too, just for ebooks. You search that, just click these two. The difference between a journal article and a book source is book sources are typically written for a more general audience. So journal articles are pretty much written with the goal of a hardcore English audience in mind, right? So a lot of the stuff I provided you on Brightspace is journal articles. From a book, you might find a chapter in one of these books. I'm not going to ask you to read a whole book from one of your sources, right? That would be ridiculous. But if you search books, you might find a chapter from one of these books that you could cite. So that's a possibility. Lots of times book sources are a little better. If you guys were taking the same class with me at WVU where I taught before, I would actually make you go in the library and get a book, right? But for now, you would search this. Let's say you wanted to just search. It's going to come up with a lot of stuff. Let's say you wanted to search Dracula. Well, 12,365 articles popped up. Right, so there's no way that you could read all this. And there's probably some stuff on here that I haven't put up on our database. So if you go here and you look through the stuff, like this one's about Dracula film adaptations, right? If you go there and look at the stuff, you click it, and it always gives you a little, I think this one's actually a book. Yeah, so you could, if you did this one, you can actually like cite just a chapter from it or something. That's what this source is. It pulls up a digital version of the book. But most of the time it'll give you a little abstract. See if this, yeah, most of the time it'll give you a little abstract telling you what the paper's about. So if it doesn't seem like something that's relevant to you, you can move on and look at your next source. But most of the time you can download these by clicking PDF full text. If you do that, then you can pull it up, then you can read the article about it. Okay. So you could say that to your computer. That would be my best advice. If you guys have MacBooks, you can actually save this to your computer and then read these articles on iBooks. You can kind of like annotate them and highlight on them and all that if you don't want to print them out. You can do that on a PC too with Adobe. So you might say to yourself, though, I'm not going to look through 10,000, 12,000 articles. I need to narrow it down. Okay. So let's say you wanted to, maybe like your broad focus is you want to do sexuality in Dracula. Okay, sexuality. We're going to talk a lot about that today. What you would do, this is how you narrow it down. You put a capital and in all caps, and then you run your next term. So here's a trick for you guys to know. Let's say that a word has multiple variants. So when it comes to sexuality, maybe you want it to search for both the word sex as well as the word sexuality, right? How you do that, you stop your search where the spelling stops. So if you wanted to search sex and sexuality, what you do is you would put sex and then a star. Let's see where, looking where the star is on the keyboard. Where's the star? Here it is. Okay, so if you did that, I don't know why I did that. Well, if you did that, it'll search both the term sex and sexuality. That's just one example of how you might do that. Well, that took it down to 400 articles. That might make it a little more manageable to find some sources. Sometimes if you're looking through this thing, you might find that there's not a PDF full text. If you find that that's the case, copy and paste all this information, send it to me in an email, and I will go in and find it for you myself, okay, using my privileges that I have. And so I can get you anything that you need. Just maybe give me like 24 hours and I can get it for you probably. And so if you ever search something on this thing, you can't download it right away. You say, hey, I really want that to add to my paper. Well, just ask and I'll get that. I'll get it for you. That's the quick rundown of how you find stuff here. If we just go back to Dracula, searching just for Dracula, go back to our 12,000 articles. You can also narrow it down over here. Okay. So the articles that the database found go all the way from 1927 up to 2022. Usually when it comes to research, it's a good idea to keep stuff in the last 20, 30 years at least. Because otherwise it might be really outdated scholarship. So maybe we're going to do a search just from the year 2000, 2022. That took it down. I took it down a couple of thousand, right? And narrowed down some stuff. Let's say you want to keep it just to scholarly peer-reviewed articles, which is what you should be doing. Do that, well, that took it down to 400 articles. That actually might make it a pretty manageable thing to look through all these. So there's a few tricks of how to use this database that you guys might not know before. Some of you guys took English 101, you might have done this before in English 101. There's a few tricks on how to use it. One last thing before I give you the prompts. I know we're covering a lot of shop today, but it's necessary. But if you go up to where it says sign in, if you're using this thing, I would actually recommend that you create an account. Do this. If you have like a Gmail account, you can set one up really easy. But if you create an account on here and you start running some searches, whenever you're on this screen, you can click add to folder. If you have an account, maybe you want to get back to your source later, all you have to do is log in. If you click add to folder, you can just go up to your folder, find the article. So that way, it'll save you some headaches later of finding something, and then maybe you need to find it again on there, right? So I would actually recommend you guys create an account if you use this database. So between what I've provided you on Brightspace, between what's in the back of your books, between what the stuff that this has, you guys should find enough to do some search. So questions about any of that? Now I'll show you the prompt. So nothing from Natasha. Hannah, are you good?
Yeah, I'm just. So you have to basically get the sources and you cite your sources, but the sources have to contain of what you're writing about. So what that means?
I'm getting ready to answer that question
Okay,
with the
okay.
prompt. Okay. Addie, Bella, are you two good?
Thanks. So
Think so far? Okay. How about you, Bella?
Sorry.
Good, feeling good so far, or got questions? I guess it's just,
I think I'm okay.
all right. So now let's go over this prompt real quick. This is just your basic introduction to the assignment. Actually, I'll probably actually go over the bibliography part today too. So this is what's coming up over the next 2 weeks. Okay, next 2 weeks are going to be very busy. Well, I had you guys read most of Dracula this week, so you won't have as much to read next week. So next week's when we're really going to start getting heavy into this. But the overview prompts, this is what I've already uploaded for you on. I changed the due dates. Okay, this is what's coming up. So at the end of the paper, at the end of the class, you guys will do the research paper. Like I said, it's okay if you develop your short paper into a longer paper. I'd actually design it that way to help you. But if you want to write about something unrelated, you can. But what you will be doing is you'll be developing an argumentative paper about one of these two novels. Okay. And what you will do is you're going to take I'll zoom in for, I see you looking closely there. I'll zoom in for you, Hannah. I saw you looking close there. But what you're going to do is you're going to take one of the literary schools. So from the very first day, I tried to train you guys in the basics of all these. So you're going to, maybe you want to read it from a psychoanalytical point of view. Maybe you want to do it from an influence studies point of view. Maybe you want to do feminist or gender criticism. Maybe you want to do sort of more of a historically oriented paper if you've got a lot of history interests. Maybe you want to write about social class in one of the books. You're going to take one of these schools of thought and apply it to the novel you pick. Whenever I give you guys the short paper prompts, like with Frankenstein, I tried to give you a wide variety of questions. So whichever question you pick is where your interest lies. And then you're naturally already writing from one of these schools of thought. So I say your goal is to investigate a problem area up for debate from one of the readings or films from the class. Think back to the class discussions and debates we have had on some of our texts. So far, we've only had one on Frankenstein. Okay, we're getting ready to have our next one. Pick a text or group of closely related texts that has interested you. Then read over the scholarly conversation going on about any of the items. So step one's coming up with your topic idea, all right? And so first step involves a proposal plus an annotated bibliography of at least, typo there, of at least 5 sources concerning your topic. I'm actually not asking for much. I'm asking only for 5. I could ask for a lot more, but I'm only asking for 5. So make your 5 really count. And so you don't want to, let's say you write about sexuality in Dracula. Well, you don't want to be writing about you don't want to be writing about, I don't know, capitalism or something, right? Just because it's completely unrelated. You don't want one of your sources to be completely unrelated. So I'm only asking for 5, but make your 5 sources count to where all of them are about the approach that you're taking to the book. Okay. So what the proposal and annotated bid is, and this one will be due next week, late next week. What the proposal and bid does, the proposal is almost like a sneak preview. It's a teaser trailer for what your paper is going to be. So in a proposal, you detail the text or text you choose to analyze and why. So what are you writing about, right? What school of thought are you taking? You'll say, tell me what other scholars seem to be saying about the text. Just a couple of sentences there about that, considering you're going to also be writing about your sources in the bibliography. But maybe in your proposal, just give me a sort of short summary of what you seem to be noticing whenever you've read your articles. Then you will tell me the argument you plan to make about the text in the final paper, detailing the school of criticism you will use. And finally, you give me possible evidence from the literary text or film you will use to support your argument. Think of this as a short, cogent, and to the point preview of what you hope to say about the text. So understand, guys, that you won't have everything cooked out already. But this helps steer your mind into cooking up the actual paper. That way, when you get into actually writing the paper, you're not going in blind. Right? You're already going into the writing of it, having read a bunch of articles. Then you will kind of know what you're going to say, how you plan to say it. That's this assignment sort of trying to steer your brain in a direction that's going to lead to a productive paper at the end. Okay. So that's what a proposal is. So there's actually a one attached to this prompt. What the bibliography part is of this, the bibliography is you take your 5 sources. And the goal is to see what arguments are out there already, to see that you do not repeat anything already said. Then the sources help you think through the text and come to an idea of your topic itself. So I say here you should search the library databases to find the sources, but again, the sources in the back of your book and the sources I provided you, that should give you enough. So what an annotated bibliography is, probably best just to scroll down and show you. What an annotated bibliography is you take your source, you cite it correctly using MLA standards. You cite it correctly. So I don't plan to go over MLA standards again very closely with you guys, just because that's something you should have done in English 101. And I'm assuming that you guys have done this in English 101. You did your research paper in there. Might be wrong. But what you do is you cite your source, then underneath it, you provide me a summary of what the source is, what the source talked about. Okay, so maybe you would explain your source's argument, then tell me how the author constructed the argument. So that's what a summary is, right? Just explain everything the article talked about in your own words. Then at the end, in a couple of sentences, I would like to see you guys maybe explain how you plan to incorporate the source into your paper. Let's say you're writing about gender and sexuality in Dracula. Well, how does that source contribute to your understanding of the topic? So I ask you to do a little, not only some summary, but also a little application. whenever you get to this part. Okay? What you'll be doing is first write a proposal. This person was a little overkill with it, maybe. You don't have to do 2 whole pages of a proposal. But I'm asking for about a page, page and a half of a proposal, but then 5 entries that look just like this for a bibliography. Cite your source, summarize your source, then you show me how the source is going to contribute to your understanding of the topic. It's actually not too difficult, right? You only have to find 5 sources to annotate here. You can do more if you want to be an overachiever, right? But 5 is all I'm asking for. So a sneak teaser trailer of your argument that comes with a bibliography. This will be due the 20 seconds. 20 seconds. This is when this step of the project is due. Okay, so if you want to develop your Frankenstein paper or your Dracula paper, I haven't even talked about the Dracula prompt yet, just because we're starting it today. But if you want to develop one of those into your longer paper, there you go. That's how you get going with it. And this all, of course, leads into the final paper, which will be due on the 30th. So the final paper is your 6 or 7 page long argument. And this is where you're making some claim about the text. You're going to sort of ground your argument in the scholarship. And then you're going to provide your own original readings of the text. I'm not going to go deep into detail about what I want in that today, because frankly, you guys need to do the bibliography first before you'll even know before you'll even be in that mindset to think about this. But this is going to lead into the final paper, which will be due the end of the month. Okay, next week I'll probably talk more about that. Right now, I want to just try to get you guys going into the research paper, into doing the research and coming up with a topic and all of that. So part 1 was coming up real soon. So if you want to write about Frankenstein, well, we've already covered it. If you want to write about Dracula, well, maybe our discussion today might plant a seed to lead to a possible topic there. So this is already up and available for you on our Brightspace. So questions about any of that? That's a lot to throw on you guys today, but questions about any of that?
So we have to summarize every single source, right?
All 5 that you come up with.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do have a question about something I saw in there. You state in that Google Scholar can be used as
Yes.
well. My question is I tried to use Google Scholar for my Psych 218 class for the research papers, but every article that I come across on there, you have to buy them. Do you know if I'm doing that wrong?
Okay, never pay for an article. Never.
Yeah, no,
pay
I
for
didn't.
one.
I didn't. I found some other things to use.
If you find something on there and it says pay for it or something, what to do is send me an email. Give me all the relevant details, so the name of the article, the author, when it was published, and all that. And I can more than likely get it for you through my access, but I still have through WVU.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, so if you find something on there you can't get it right away, don't pay for it. Definitely ask me and I can probably get it for you. I have underhanded ways that I can do that, get stuff. So we'll skirt the system and I'll get it for you. Okay. It's a good question. Good question, Caution. The same goes for if you find a source on our database and it doesn't come up with that PDF full text. Same goes there. Ask me and I can probably get it for you. Okay. Anything else? All right. So I'm going to temporarily pause the recording just so it'll make it easy to edit this later, because I'll split the Dracula discussion up from this.